Hello, my name is Elise, and happy June 1st. Today is the first day of Pride Month, so to kick off the month, I have come up with a rather random list of LGBTQ book recommendations that I hope you'll enjoy. If you have read them already, please let me know what you thought of them, because these are all books that I really have enjoyed in the past probably year or so. So I know I'm kind of notorious for almost always just reading young adult contemporary books, but I've tried my best to incorporate many different genres and age groups in this list, so that way hopefully there's something for everyone. So to start, for the first book, I am choosing a book that's actually being released today, so that way, if you don't already have it pre-ordered, you can support the author today. It is called One Last Stop, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. This is an adult contemporary romance, except it has a little bit of a sci-fi element to it. There is time travel, and it's about a girl who moves to New York, and she's kind of a cynic, but once upon a time she heads on the train, and then she meets a girl named Jane. I really am amused by the fact that Jane and train rhymes, because I keep saying Jane on the train. And yeah, from there, romance ensues, except there's something weird about Jane. She doesn't exactly seem to be like she's from that time period. But this is a book that's full of cute, quirky characters, lots of fun, lighthearted, hilarious moments, but also some more serious aspects to it. And overall, it's just such a fun book, and the plot itself is so creative. This is definitely one you don't want to miss out on. The second book is called I'm Afraid of Men, and this is a really short memoir. It is about a trans woman and her experiences with transphobia and homophobia and sexism and gender issues and all of that stuff. And this is something I read because I enjoy memoirs, except I just enjoy them overall. I wasn't expecting to get more out of it, but I was really surprised that this author was able to give me a new perspective. So if you like nonfiction or memoirs, or if this topic in general just interests you, I highly recommend this book, because I was not expecting to gain new insights from this book. I've taken lots of classes on gender and sexuality, and I've read a lot of books on these topics, so I was expecting to hear some really similar things, but yeah, I was surprised that I learned new things and was able to think of myself and the world differently. Very good, very short. You'll be able to read it in one sitting. The next book is called Summer Bird Blue, and in true Elise fashion, this is a young adult contemporary book. It's about a girl named Rumi, and very recently her sister had died in a car crash. And throughout the entire book, she is evaluating her relationship with her sister and also her mother, who is grieving, but maybe not in a way that is convenient for Rumi, and actually is quite devastating to her. So Rumi is sent to Hawaii to live with her aunt, and she is quite mean and just off-putting to everyone, because she just is dealing with a lot and she doesn't want to make new friends, and this is not the situation she wanted to be in. But it is a very beautiful but slow book. So if you like character-driven books, this is the one for you. If you like plot-driven books, maybe not the best for you, but it does feature a character who is questioning whether she is asexual and aromantic, and it just has such gorgeous writing, so many beautiful quotes, and I loved the character development and the themes of anger and grief. The next book is a fantasy adult romance that features a polyamorous relationship. It's called A Diary of Blood, and it's actually a Dracula retelling. I have not really read vampire books before. No, I have not read Twilight, so I was a little hesitant in picking this up, but it ended up being fantastic. The writing is really detailed and complex and grotesque in some points, because it's about blood and vampires, and I was not expecting the characters and the plot to be so deep, and even though it's a short book, it's just a lot packed into all of these pages. So 100% recommend. Even if you don't read fantasy or vampire books like me, I'm sure you will love it. I was so impressed with the complexity of this book. So the next book is a young adult thriller.
Oops, I forgot to say the title. It's called One of the Good Ones.
And I don't want to say too much about it, because it is better if you go into it not knowing anything. but just as a very tiny little summary, it's about this group of sisters, and they're all very different, but one of them is really into activism. But one day she goes to a protest after her family says not to go to the protest, and she ends up dying. Now, this is very devastating to the family, and in order to celebrate her life, they're going to go on this road trip that the sister had planned out, just to remember her and honor her wishes. Now, the first half of the book, and maybe a bit more of that, comes off as a regular young adult contemporary, just with the whole thing about grief and all of that. But then there's just some wild twists at the end, since it is a thriller, and it's just shocking. I mean, I read this like, what is going on? So if you like young adult thrillers, this is definitely one that will probably make your jaw drop like it did for me. Next we have In the Dream House, and this is an adult sapphic memoir. I will just say really quickly that this deals with really, really heavy, intense themes. So if you're interested in this one, check out some trigger warnings and reviews, because there's a lot. But it is about abuse and manipulation within sapphic relationships. And the writing is very interesting for a memoir. It's in a unique format, but doesn't distract from the book itself. So I really appreciated that, and it really gave a different perspective to queer relationships that I don't often see represented in books. So overall, I loved this book. Again, I was really impressed by the writing, probably some of the best writing I've ever seen in a book, and I've not really seen memoirs take this creative approach to writing before, at least not in the memoirs I've read. I'm sure there's other memoirs out there. But yeah, gorgeous book, very heavy. It will leave you feeling many things by the time you finish it. I'm just looking at my list of books right now, and I did a good job with trying to come up with different genres and age groups. But the next book is a middle grade graphic novel, and it's fantasy. It's called The Tea Dragon Society, and this is just a super cute, fluffy book about dragons, pretty much. It has really, really wonderful representation. If I remember correctly, there's good representation for race, gender, sexuality, disabilities, just a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect in children's books to be explored so heavily. So I really love that. It's, again, so cute and fluffy, and the illustrations in the book are just gorgeous. It's such a comfort, cute book. So pick this up if you're looking for something lighthearted and sweet, but also, good with representation. The next book is a young adult graphic novel called Check Please. This is a sports romance, except the first volume isn't too romancy, but I'm pretty sure it gets there in the other volumes. But basically it's about a hockey team, and there's a lot of explorations of friendship in there. It is classified as an LGBT book, but yeah, the first book isn't too romance heavy, but it's just a really cute, light book, and I love the illustrations. It's funny and, again, just cute and not very heavy, which is sometimes what you need. So if you're looking for a soft, easy to read, quick graphic novel, this is a great one. So the next book was super popular when it came out, so you might have read it, but if you haven't, now's your chance. It's called Cemetery Boys, and this is a young adult fantasy. It features a transgender protagonist, and there's just a lot of fun elements to this book. There is magic and ghosts and fun friendships and an interesting relationship. I say it's interesting because it's with someone who is maybe not the most human person out there. That sounds weird. Read the book to figure out what I mean. But yeah, overall, this is just a really cute, fun book that I would definitely recommend to lovers of young adults. It does feature a main character who has family members that aren't really accepting of his trans identity. So just keep that in mind if that's something that you would like to know before going into the book. Okay, so maybe there is more young adult contemporaries in this list than I thought, because the next book is a YA contemporary, but it's a good one, so whatever. It's called Clap When You Land, and it's a sapphic book, except that isn't explored too much, but in a way I really liked that because it was subtle and felt very normal. It wasn't the main plot of the book. But basically it's about two girls and their father dies in a plane crash, except they don't know they're sisters because their dad was kind of living a double life. So it's told in two perspectives in verse, and it's about them dealing with these feelings of grief, but also coming to terms with realizing their father maybe wasn't exactly who they thought he was. So if you haven't tried a book that is pretty much in poetry format before, pick this one up because it's really easy to read and I really enjoyed it. Elizabeth Acevedo always excels at writing. It's just always so beautiful and emotional. So the next book is an adult contemporary romance called Honey Girl. This is about a woman who is rather uptight and anxious. She's a perfectionist and she has a PhD and she's trying to get a job, always trying to please her parents and everyone around her. A lot of stress on her. But at the beginning of the book, she does something kind of out of character. She goes to Vegas and ends up drunkenly marrying a girl who is a complete stranger. Now, this book does, as I just said, feature a sapphic relationship that is, in fact, explored in the book, but I would recommend this book for its anxiety representation. If you're looking for a very relatable book that deals with mental health issues and also dealing with family expectations that aren't really realistic, this one is great. I really enjoyed the elements of the book beyond just relationship because I think Morgan Rogers really excelled at exploring what it means to have anxiety and not exactly know where your place is in the world, especially when your family has different expectations for you. So the last book is a young adult contemporary, but it is my favorite genre, so whatever. It is called Loveless, and this features a character who is questioning whether she is asexual and or aromantic. Now, the whole time, Georgia, who is our main character, has really been feeling like she's left out or just not following the normal curve of everyone else her age as they develop crushes and want to be in relationships and basically just everything that she does not want and is just not interested in. I really loved the exploration of sexuality in this book, and there's some great friendships in here. Overall, it's just a classic kind of feeling for young adult contemporary. It just feels like that genre, if that makes any sense. But it's really well done, and I will very quietly promote my book club right now, which is where we're all reading Alice Oseman's books, and this is going to be one of them. So if you're interested in that, check my description down below. I have links. It's a read along for Alice Oseman, so we will be reading along for this book eventually. And there you go. I hope some of those recommendations sound interesting to you, and I have a lot more videos planned for this month, so stay tuned for more hopefully good content. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day.